Texting 911 is now an option in the city of Suffolk. Let's find out how you can utilize that technology.
111, 110.
Joined now by Kim Hendricks, who's the Public Safety Answering Point Manager for the City of Suffolk Police Department and the Emergency Communications Center. Kim, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Talking about text to 911. So this is a new technology that call center has at its fingertips, so to speak. What is the purpose of it? I mean, people think, well, if I got to call 911, I'm going to pick up the phone and call. But there are instances where this comes into play and can be a valuable resource for the person on the other end of the text in this case, correct?
Absolutely.
So when would it come? When would people use this?
With our deaf community, our hearing impaired, somebody could be having a medical emergency where they're not able to speak. Right. They could be choking. It could be a situation where it might be dangerous for them if somebody was breaking into their home. They didn't want anybody to hear them, or they're having a domestic dispute with somebody. Right. They didn't want to alert the other person in the house that they needed police. They can certainly text us then, absolutely.
But recommended, though, the primary way, you still want people to really primarily pick up the phone and call 911, but this is a resource, as you mentioned, that can be utilized in various situations and can be very beneficial and time-saving, and also help people out in critical situations like we talked about. So how does it work? I mean, if the dispatchers are sitting there, how are they getting this information when someone sends a text? And we'll talk about really kind of what information you want people to do and what not to do, but how is it being received? How are they getting this message?
It comes right on our computer screen. It alerts us on our text screen that we have a text message coming in. It makes a noise, so it definitely alerts our attention. The dispatcher will acknowledge the message and see the initial message from the sender, and they will start replying.
Okay. Now, as the person who sent the message, do you get something to say, hey, your message was received? Because, you know, thinking about non-emergency texting, sometimes we're like, well, we're waiting for the little read indication or a little ... or whatever the case would be to pop up. Did they get something back, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The sender would get a message back initially saying that the message was received by Suffolk 911 and to stand by.
Okay, got it.
So
if they don't get that, maybe you need to pick up the phone and call 911 or move yourself from the situation if it's a dangerous situation, where you can do that, of course.
Correct.
Now, so how should we do it? I mean, other than hit 911 as far as the sender, but what information are y'all looking for? What's the best way so that way people don't get garbled up in emojis or GIFs or whatever like that? You don't want that stuff.
No.
You're just looking for basic information. So
Right.
What are y'all looking for?
First of all, we need the address. Okay. It's just like a cell phone caller. We need that address, because even if we know nothing else, we can at least get help to them.
Right.
So if they could start by the address and then start with what's going on, what kind of help do you need? Do you need an ambulance? You know, are you having problems breathing? Do you need the police? Something, you know, to at least let us know what's going on. But if nothing else, if we can at least get an address, we can
Correct.
get help started.
Got it. And again, some of the I say that frivolous stuff of texting, that has no really play in this. People shouldn't be sending photos or videos or things like that, because it's really just the basic information to make that point of contact so that services can be sent out there and dispatched as they need to based on what's required.
Correct,
Needed, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes. And maybe later down the road,
Yeah.
we will be able to accept pictures and videos, but not at this time.
Got it. So if you're in a situation where, well, obviously, again, don't text and drive. Want to be
Yes.
clear about that. Want to
Yes.
get that out there again as an always present reminder. But people should not be using this simply just to report a crime or something like that. Or if they see something, it's really, again, pick up the phone and call in those instances. But as you talked about off the top, the hearing impaired community, and again, a situation where you medically can't speak or you can't get the message across there, or as you said, if someone's breaking in your home, you're huddled up in a closet or somewhere,
Right.
You don't want to be heard. That's a nice way to do it. So again, recommended also, I guess, to silence your phone when you're doing this, especially in those situations. Again, thinking of sounds, right?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
because we will be responding back with a message. So sometimes having that alert on is going to let somebody know that you're receiving a text.
Got it.
Yes.
Now, one other feature through this is if someone is Spanish speaking, or
Yes.
Spanish texting is the case would be, how does that work so that the message gets across and also gets conveyed back? So
When the sender texts their message in Spanish, our system will actually translate the message for us.
Okay.
It will display in both Spanish and in English, and then whatever we respond back with in English, it will translate when it sends to them. So we'll be able to see both the Spanish and the English version on our screen.
And that's taking place automatically, kind of
Yes.
behind the scenes through the technology
Yes.
that y'all have.
Yes.
Very good, very good.
It's a great feature.
Yes.
Now, we can certainly have any language translated
Right.
through a language program that we use.
Got it.
But this is instantaneously. We don't have to get a translator on the line.
Got it. Very good. Very good. Now, I know this has not been in play for that long, but you've already had at least one person utilize it in a situation where it was appropriate to be used, as we
Correct.
said. And I'm assuming everything went well as far as on both ends, as far as to get information to and from, and it worked, I guess, like it should. I'm sure
Yes.
y'all did a lot of testing and prep work, but
Yes.
it was good to see it in practice, right?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. It was kind of exciting to get that first text message received. Of course, we don't want to have to use it.
That's right.
But it's nice to know that it does work in in a time of need.
And it's always a good time to remind everyone that, of course, the folks that are manning the call center are there 24/7. You always have staff there that are willing to respond and able to respond and, certainly help out in some basic medical situations with their information, but getting the services out there, be it police, fire, or EMS, depending upon what's going on. And I think, again, the men and women who staff that area in the wee hours of the morning, or when we have a hurricane coming through or severe weather, they're always there. They're always doing their job. They're alert and they're well trained. And I think it speaks to the qualifications and what y'all look for in your staff, and making sure they are trained and kept up to speed on things, and really work as a team to make sure these services are provided.
Right, right. You absolutely have to be a team player.
Yeah.
And things like that. Yes.
And as far as with this, I mean, how has the staff responded to it? Because, again, it's another way for them to be connected. I know it's only been really utilized once so far,
Right.
but again, it's there, and I guess they got to like it as well, because it's yet another way that they can provide services and help and assistance to people.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're very fortunate we've got this now in our city. Yes.
Now, and when we talk about 911, it's not just 911. I mean, again, obviously using 911 for an emergency call, but there also is a non-emergency number to reach people in dispatch, which is 757-923-2350. It is a phone menu, but you want to hit option 8.
Correct.
So, again, if you could explain the difference between a 911 call and really when you want people to use the 923-2350 number. What would be those differences in those situations?
The 923-2350 number should be used for anything that's not considered an emergency, something that's not in progress, not a medical emergency, something that happened yesterday, a minor fender bender in the parking lot, a dog barking,
Right.
things like that.
Got it. So I want to draw that line of distinction there. And again, when we talk about text to 911, we're talking about those emergency situations where you would be dialing 911 in another circumstance, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So again, let's just recap those instances and opportunities where really people should be utilizing the text to 911. I know there's it's a couple categories, but I know it can kind of branch out a little bit. But if you could just reiterate
Sure.
that.
It would be our deaf community, our hearing impaired. If they're having a medical emergency where they're not able to speak, or a situation where their safety, could potentially be affected
Right.
if the person knows that they're calling for help.
Got it. And again, to text, it's just your 2 is going to be 911.
Yes, no dashes.
And the call or the text will get routed properly to the right agency, in
Right.
our case, City of Suffolk call center here. But again, you really want the address and the basic information about what's going on. Look, I'm having a medical emergency. I need EMS, or there's an intruder in my home. I need police to come out. That's the messaging you want.
Right.
Do you want people to text a long narrative, or keep it short, or really what's the best way to do
Keep
that?
it short.
Okay. Okay.
And answer our questions just as briefly as you can.
Right. Okay.
If it's a situation where we feel confident that we could call and speak to you, we may do that just to speed up the process.
Right.
Especially if it's a medical emergency where we may have to give some medical instructions.
Correct.
If at least we've gotten the information like an address, if we just need you to listen, things like that, we can certainly call and give you some instruction by phone as well.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, that's text to 911. It's pretty simple, but great technology, great resources, again, to help people in a time of need and get them the services they need as quickly as possible, which is the ultimate goal we're talking about here today. Kim, I want to thank you for your time, as well as you and your staff for all the work that you do, again, through all hours of the day, all situations, and there's always somebody on the other end of that phone, or in this case, on the other end of the text, to be able to respond and, again, provide that assistance.
Thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it. That would do it for this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.
111, 110.